Millions of people tune in to Indian paranormal YouTube channels every month, sitting in pitch-black rooms to listen to horrifying, user-submitted ghost stories. To an outsider, the encounters described in these videos, cases of sudden possessions, recordings of phantom voices, and inexplicable physical sickness, sound completely chaotic. It seems like anyone, anywhere, could become a target at any time. This diagram shows how these hauntings actually work. There is no randomness here. In Indian folklore, the supernatural operates on a strict, invisible legal system. If you cross a specific boundary, the environment reacts instantly. Take the cases of Nitin from Mumbai and Lakshmi from Rajasthan. Both were teenagers who suffered terrifying bodily contortions and alleged demonic possessions that tore their families apart. According to the lore, neither of them was simply unlucky. They both accidentally triggered an attack by breaking deeply ingrained ancient cultural taboos. Knowing exactly what those regional taboos are and how to avoid them is considered the only thing standing between a normal life and becoming the internet's next terrifying horror story. In 2011, a 15-year-old boy named Nitin was working a menial job pasting advertising posters across a dense Mumbai chawl, accompanied by his older supervisor. While riding a motorcycle between locations, their bike skidded out of control. The supervisor was thrown directly under the wheels of a massive truck, killing him instantly and spraying Nitin with his blood. Surviving such an event is traumatic enough, but Nitin immediately broke a critical rule. He failed to undergo a spiritual purification ritual after being physically contaminated by a violent death. During the last rites at the cremation ground, Nitin began frantically looking around, claiming he could see the dead supervisor standing right next to him, watching his own body burn. His condition rapidly deteriorated. Neighbors eventually found Nitin perched dangerously high in the branches of a massive banyan tree, refusing to come down and speaking in a voice that didn't belong to him. Shortly after being coaxed down, he began violently vomiting blood. He was rushed to the hospital and placed on a ventilator, but within a week, his organs failed and he died. In many local belief systems, this is known as spiritual contagion. The sudden, violent trauma of a fatal accident is viewed almost like a parasitic virus, actively searching for a vulnerable host in the immediate vicinity. Within this specific cultural framework, surviving the crash wasn't enough. Without immediate ritual cleansing to wash away the metaphysical residue, being physically close to that trauma ensured Nitin would be the entity's next casualty. 5 years later, in 2016, an 18-year-old newlywed named Lakshmi was helping her mother harvest golden wheat fields in rural Rajasthan. During a midday break, she ate a meal heavily featuring buttermilk and fresh white ghee. In local traditions, consuming white foods during the afternoon hours is a major violation, as these specific items are believed to attract wandering spirits. To make matters worse, she took a shortcut home along an isolated dirt path and past a specific tree. Unbeknownst to her, a man had recently committed suicide hanging from those exact branches. Lakshmi crossed that tree and instantly lost all memory of her walk. When she arrived home, she was effortlessly lifting heavy water-filled metal pots over her head, displaying a physical strength far beyond her usual capacity. That night, her younger brother woke to find Lakshmi collapsed on her bed. Her head was pinned to the floor, her back arched at a completely unnatural angle, and thick white foam was pouring from her mouth. Her family recognized the signs immediately and called in a local priestess to perform an uttara. This is an intense, physically exhausting exorcism ritual designed to pull an invading entity out of the victim's body and bind it into a physical object, like an earthen pot. The men carrying that sealed pot to the village boundary reported hearing the distinct, desperate voices of dead relatives begging to be taken home, a psychological toll that terrified the entire community. Lakshmi eventually survived, but the event reinforced a frightening local reality. Even innocent, mundane choices, like what you eat or which path you walk, can inadvertently strip away your spiritual armor and leave you completely exposed. Why do modern families, even those with access to smartphones and the internet, still cling so fiercely to these ancient, terrifying rules? When a horrific, sudden tragedy strikes a community, attributing it to a broken taboo is actually a deeply complex coping mechanism. We can view Nitin's fate through two lenses. The folklore track points to demonic possession, while the medical track mirrors untreated PTSD. Similarly for Lakshmi, Folklore blames an entity attachment, while the medical track aligns with an epileptic seizure. In rural areas where modern psychiatric and medical infrastructure is incredibly sparse or entirely absent, an exorcism ritual like the Uttara provides families with a tangible, actionable way to fight back against invisible, poorly understood diseases. These viral ghost stories serve a profound purpose. They are generational survival guides, constructed over centuries to enforce a sense of order and control over the terrifying, random chaos of human tragedy.